Hello, 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 hello out there in social media land. Yes, yes, yes. They are you guys have been blowing my phone up. You've been texting me, you've been IMing me. Where is the show? Well, we are here. We are here. And we finally got on. We were doing a little catching up. So please forgive us for being tardy because y'all know I don't ever want to be late for Uncensored Conversation with Elevated, Not Tolerated. And tonight, my phenomenal guest. Oh my God, I am so excited about having this young lady back on the show with me. She is always such a blessing. And the only thing is, we don't have Mr. Robert with us tonight, but it's just me and the Goyles. It's just the Goyles hanging out tonight. Y'all, I'm telling you, I am so super excited to have Lady D is in the house, y'all. Y'all better get ready because she's going to be doing telling us some amazing things on tonight. Please go out there, care, share, and like what we're doing tonight because she has a phenomenal project and I can't wait to hear everything. Miss D, how are you doing tonight?
Well, I am so elated to be here. And you can never go live without someone deciding to call you the moment you hit the live button. So that was my second mother, my daughter. And so I forgot to text in our family chat to say, I'm interviewing. Don't forget, don't call. Don't call. But anyway, I want to make you laugh. Yeah, I want to make you laugh about that because that's what we do. And when we're connected, whether it's our family, whether it's our friends, whether it's our mentors, whether it's our mentees, we always want to have that connection where they feel free that they can pick up the call and make that call to you and engage in a conversation. So I wanted to shout her out anyway and let her know I love her and I appreciate her. And I want to appreciate our amazing host, Pastor Victoria, for allowing me the opportunity to be here with you. She was the first to say, sis, we've got to talk about the book. And I so love that about her. Anything that you're doing for the kingdom of God, she wants to hear about it. She wants to support, partake in whatever way that she can. And so I so appreciate that about our relationship. So I'm just as excited, if not more, than she is to delve into and just give you just a few snippets of my latest literary work. I'm so excited about this book. I believe it's going to make an impact. Not that no other work would or anything I've written in the past, but I'm just elated about this now time that this word is coming forward. And I do believe it's a word. It's in book form, but I do believe it's a word for the body, particularly for those of us in the kingdom of God wanting to do it God's way.
And see, Lady D, I mean, first, thank you for saying yes, because you could have said, no, I'm gonna go on the Barbara Walters show, or I'm gonna go on Oprah and do all of this. I'm not gonna waste my time with you. I'm gonna go on the big time show. But I was so honored when you said yes, because even with everything going on in the world right now, just to know that there's somebody who is producing the products of God, the fruits of the labor of what God has invested in you. And I am just so honored. I mean, look, I haven't got my copy yet because you know what? That's another story. I was, because you and I, we've been doing conferences and so much these last few weeks, and you with your babies and all of that. My mind has just been It's been going in 5 million different ways. So tonight is like my preview because I keep looking at the book cover, and I said, you know what? Tonight, look, guys, those of you that are watching or will watch later, I need you to go ahead and get your pocketbooks and your wallets and your checkbooks and your credit cards and all that stuff out, because I'm gonna need you to go ahead and purchase this book because it's gonna be absolutely amazing and it's gonna be a bestseller, and you're gonna miss it if you're not going to be in the first people to get it. But I'm going to be one of the first ones to get it. Anywho, but when I keep looking at the cover, and I was like, how are we going to do this tonight? And so God was like, you know what? I got an idea. And I always laugh because people tell me I know how to do stuff. Lady, and we were just talking about this, and I said, well, I can do it this way. This would be easy for me. And so I'm going to share with them the cover of your book.
Oh, awesome.
before we get into the conversation, because I want people to be able to see this beautiful. I love the cover. I just absolutely love the cover. So I'm gonna look. I got to do my magic again, like I had it before. Before we started talking, because I was playing around with it, and we got to talking. But Lady D has written this book, y'all, and I want y'all to be ready to purchase it. And so first, let me put the title up, and then I'm gonna show y'all this. The cover was what got me. And when I was sharing it with one of my with a friend of mine, I said, "Well, I'm going to buy two copies, one for him and one for me, because I just think that's the way it should be. I think if you're going to share something, you need to share it so everybody can get an idea of what it really looks like." And they say, "Why you want that crazy? Just because I did that, you get mad? Okay." Anywho, so I want to show y'all this screen, boy. I'm telling you, the cover of it, and I'm hoping I can do this the right way. Let's
Oh, you're
move
gonna
it.
get it right. You're gonna get it right.
You know how I like to play with stuff. You know I like to play with everything. So we're gonna do this right here. I want y'all to see this. Okay, so yeah, it ain't gonna do like I wanted to do. But do y'all see this cover? Oh my gosh. Let me see if I can expand it. Maybe I can do that. How about that? Lady D, you think I can do that? Yeah. What do you
You
think?
might can
What do you
do
think?
that with your magic.
I think I can do even. I think I can even do better than that. How about that? Do y'all see
That looks
that?
amazing.
My goodness. Oh, I mean, the book cover in itself, it grabbed me, Lady D. And somebody would say, "What are you talking about?" Because it struck me as power. It was power coming from the light of the background of the book,
Oh,
and then the explosion of the words, and then that, and I can't describe what that brownish looks like with the 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 different pieces of what I would call scratches, if you will. It grabbed me. The title of the book, that cover grabbed me, and then I flipped over. Let's see if I can do this while we're talking. I flipped over to the cover, the back of the book. And I think I've read this 100 times. And I'm like, this right here, the blend of wisdom and insight. So, Lady D, I'm excited now. So now I've showed this. Now I can get over here to have a conversation. Now we can talk, because now I can stop the sharing. But I'm going to show that to y'all again later. But Lady D, tell the people about this book. Give us some. First, tell me what made you take it to this next level.
well, one of the things I've got to shout out my kingdom mentor, Pastor Monica Haskell, who I collaborated this book with. The beginning of the year, end of last year, she began talking about wanting to do some projects and collaboration. She believed that the word of the Lord for this year was divine collaborations. And
Wow.
so when she said that word divine collaboration, it just leaped in my spirit. And she said, I'm wanting to co-author some books with
Wow.
some of you. If you have a witness that this is something you believe you should do, and this word resonates with you. And it did. And it did. And I've got to give a little backdrop. Pastor Monica and I have been connected since MySpace days, if that makes any sense at all. So really
Wow.
co-authoring this book with her was like a full circle moment for me. I met her in 2008, and I say met because I was at a conference out of state. I traveled to a particular conference, and she was one of the keynote speakers. And she began to share her testimony, what she believed God had called her to do. And I said to myself, when her session was over, who is this? I've got to know who this is. So I'm always taking copious notes, no matter who the speaker is.
Right.
And she notated her book. I hope I'm not quoting it wrong, but it's talking about being exposed to more. And she talked about how when she connected with her spiritual parents and connected with different mentors, how that exposure expanded her on the inside. And so she just began really during that particular time, she just shared her testimony and how she had been exposed to so much more, and she had no idea that another life could be really in grasp based on the formulation of the words that you speak and creating the atmosphere. And so after her session, of course, I was impacted by every speaker, but she just stuck out to me in that particular season. And so what happened is I actually bought her book and began following her on MySpace. And so we laugh about it now. Because
Wow.
I told her, I said, I've been stalking you since MySpace. I'm now following you. But we
Wow.
laugh about, that's our joke. But I've been following her since MySpace. And I said, wow, she's talking about living at a whole nother level. And she's using scripture to show you how when you're exposed to more, it expands your ability to see yourself embracing so much more as in life that God has for you. And that when you actually see somebody up close and personal, you realize that God's no respecter of person, and what they're sharing with you, if you could take the principles that they're sharing, you can have that expansion as well. And so I
Wow.
started following her. So when she gave that word about divine collaboration, wanting to co-author with those who had a witness of heart and spirit that they believed that they should co-author a book along with her, and if they had a title that she could identify with, that she felt like it was meaningful and can make impact in the kingdom,
Right. Right.
reach out and just say, hey, I think it's me. Let's have a conversation. So I loved it. She said, let's have a conversation if this is you. And so it started out with a conversation. She said, well, what's ringing in your spirit? What are you thinking? What are you sensing? And I said, you said divine collaborations. And I'm just thinking about how our connection has been purposeful. It's been a purposeful connection. It started out just me following you on MySpace, didn't really know you, what you were about or anything. And just
Right.
seeing you over the years, see God do some incredible things. And how had I discounted that connection early on, I would not
Wow.
be one of the original witnesses that could witness to so many things that she's doing now, she said back then.
That's
And
amazing.
so, yeah,
That's amazing.
it's been an amazing journey. And so we've been connected that long, since MySpace days. And so,
Wow.
and we're still connected. And so I said, I believe the book should be purposeful connections. And really, that's how it kind of came about, just from that conversation.
From a conversation.
From a conversation, and just my value in relation. People who know me know I value relationships.
Yes, you
And
do.
hers is one that I valued that length of time. And so
Right.
I was so honored, one, for the clarion call that she put out there openly, and then just to have a conversation and to have a witness of heart that we thought this would make an impact in the lives of people who could grab the book and
Right.
get some aha moments, some takeaways on how to have those purposeful connections, how to start them, how to maintain them, how to build them, even if they're starting out new. So
Right.
to me, this book, in my perspective, answers the what if I've been in relationships and I said I'm done with building relationships? Or
Mm,
what if I've been in
stop.
relationships and I'm just at the point where I don't trust nobody? So we haven't been friends since MySpace, forget it. Um, all those different
Wow.
things that have made you reevaluate the value and the premium on staying connected to people and not being so easy to disconnect.
Mm-hmm.
This
Mm-hmm.
story, this book is for you.
Wow. Wow. See, I'm just sitting here and I'm listening to you because a lot of people don't understand how important those divine connections are and what they actually. I mean, you're talking about MySpace, and I'm sitting here trying to figure when's the last time I even thought about MySpace, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then we
Right.
think about how a lot of people want to put down social media as far as is not good. It's good for what you needed to make it good for.
Right.
And I do believe a lot of divine connections have been made through social media. I believe if we as people begin to get into the right mind perspective of it, then that's
Right.
what causes it to happen. I mean, you guys are proving it through just a mere conversation that this is something is purposed for this connection that's going to be able to impact other people. It's going to cause people on different levels to invest in getting to know people better,
Yes.
because our connection was, I considered a divine connection. I would
Right.
have never met you if we had never went through that class. I would have never known who you were. But look
Right.
how many, God, I don't even know how many years it's been, to be honest with you.
That's exactly right.
It's
That's
been a
exactly right.
while, but there's some people that I don't even talk to, but I talk to you. You know what I'm saying? And
Right. And
so,
that's what I'm
and you have,
saying.
yeah, and you have given over the years that I've known you. You and Dr. Robert, y'all have given me such, you know, powerful waves of thinking in my brain that I can't even begin to tell you right now what things what you haven't said hasn't changed in my life. You know what I mean? And so I think a lot of times we get fearful of connecting because of things in our past. But here you're showing today that divine power of a divine relationship
Yes.
can build into something major and can impact lives on different levels. So I am so glad that you look. I'm gonna have to go see if I got anybody left on my.
See, that's exactly right. And the thing about it, I mean, what's so funny about it is a lot of connections, particularly in the COVID space,
Yes,
some people you couldn't physically connect until that period of time where we could re-engage and reconnect with people in a physical space. And so I often tell people that social
that's right.
media
That's exactly
is what
right.
you make of it. And I have built some great relationships on social media,
I agree.
and have been able to maintain a lot of them online still because we haven't had a chance yet to connect in person, or at some point we did connect. And just this connection itself
Mm,
was a result of social media. It was an advertised.
that's
I
right.
didn't know the host personally, but I was already connected and following in another area. And the
That's
connection
right.
came because I was following another group of people. And this
That's right.
conference was presented, and she was one of the presenters. Never heard of her, didn't know who she was, but I felt like a connection had been made at that moment, and I wanted to pursue that connection. And so I
That's
think,
right.
one thing we need to know too is whether it's in a social space, whether it's in a personal space, whether it's a networking event, conference, or whatever the like, we are responsible when we have
That's
a
right.
divine connection and we believe that it's a divine connection. We are responsible for nurturing that connection and what that looks like. And
That's
so I
right.
think what people don't realize is they say, well, social media is not real. It's what you make of it. It's how you pursue.
That's right.
I always tell a joke and say, if you're on social media and you're following me, you're never going to experience any drama because that's not what's there. You're going to see my man, my man, my man. That's what I always say, and people laugh. You're going to see my ministry, and you're going to see my grandchildren, my children, um, community type things. That's what you're going to see. And if you've been following me any length of time, that's consistently what you see.
Right.
And
That's
so
right.
you create, whether it's in person or it's over the airwaves in some capacity, you create the type of connections, and the young people call it energy. You connect the type of vibe, energy, whatever word people want to use. But I call it, as a believer, a divine connection. The Bible tells us that you should try the spirit by the spirit to see whether or not it be of God. And so when we're
Right.
talking about divine connections, I always tell people you're going to have a witness of heart and spirit that this is a good connection. And then you're responsible for seeking where that connection goes. Does it stay online? Does it progress offline? You eventually meet up at a conference, at a fellowship, at a church event, at a networking event. You're responsible for where that goes once you identify that it's a divine appointment. I never knew that I would come to know her personally. And what I mean is not we're friends, but the mentor mentee relationship. I never knew I would come to know her in that space. I
Right.
just knew that when I heard her message, it resonated with me. And I knew it was someone that could lead me where I supposed or thought at that moment I would eventually be going. So I knew it was
Right.
up to me, even though it wasn't a space where it was like a meet and greet the speaker. None of that was provided. The best way I could connect was to find out where she was on social media, which was kind of new back then,
Right.
and see what material she had that could further expose me to who she was. And so it's up to us. And I guess I keep stressing that because sometimes we make connections and we're waiting on the other person to maintain it. And maybe
Right.
they don't know as of that moment that it is a
Right.
divine appointment, but you feel like it was.
That's right.
That's just like when you're seeking out a mentor, they may not, out of all the people they're servicing, they may not know that they're individually called to mentor you, but you feel like this is someone that I could benefit from following. This is someone that
Oh,
I need to invest with in my future. Let me find how I can connect to get what they have and what I think I need to further my journey in whatever capacity that is. So that's why I wanted to put that space out there, because when it's divine, you have to work at it just as if it was a work relationship. Sometimes we get to meet people because we work together and we were put together. Not that we would have otherwise arbitrarily met, but we were put in a
right.
workspace, so we develop a work relationship. Well, when it's divine, it's some kind of connection. And it may be through another person, an introduction. It could be, in my case, it was a conference. I was exposed. It could be a networking event. You go with other like-minded people and you connect with someone more particularly than you do someone else in the room. So there's just all kind of
Mhm.
ways, but we have to know that when it's a divine appointment, it's just as valuable as any other
Yes.
relationship.
That's
And I
it.
think we kind of discount when we come into the
That's it.
kingdom. We say the word sis so quickly, bruh so quickly, and we've not really
Ah,
advanced. And I say it gingerly, but we've not really advanced beyond that term. So we say it gingerly to
that's true.
mean, oh, they're a person in the body, but we've really not developed any type of relationship. The Bible even tells us to know those that labor among us. And
Come
I
on,
always
sis.
say, me hugging your neck on Sunday, telling you have a good week, hope things go well for you this week. Congrats on your new job. Oh, I see you had a baby. I don't know you. I don't know you
Yeah.
unless I'm laboring in the vineyard with
Yeah.
you. And it's the same way with relationships. We have got to labor at relationships.
And see, I think that that's even where we fall short too, is because like you said, we don't keep up those relationships, though, because we're always saying God is going to open up doors, while he's going to put people in our place that's
Yeah.
going to build us. But sometimes and I can raise my hand to this one. Sometimes I have been so on watch that I
Mm-hmm.
get to the point that you're all okay, y'all. The sabotage book is still coming out in 24. You sabotage what God has a plan for you to do. And sometimes, if we have to come, if God puts somebody in our place, and maybe this is me, Lady D. Sometimes when God puts somebody in my spirit so long, and I am like, God, why you keep, I don't know them like that. I don't want to be bothered with them. And he'll be saying the whole time, you should be bothered because
Right.
I put somebody in your place. I replace some things in order to bring this into your place. But a lot of times, because we are fearful, a lot of times because we don't understand, and we think that everybody, people say this all the time. They think that somebody's after you. I mean, nobody's
Right.
after you. Nobody is really trying. Hey, Lady Baxter,
Hey,
nobody's
thank
really
you.
trying to do anything but be a part of who's in your word. Oh, look at there. There's my goddaughter in the house, baby girl. See, you bringing out the folks now. See. I see how we're working it now. I see how we're working it. But that it is, and this is the thing, you and my goddaughter are prime examples for me. I mean, you have to keep up a relationship. A lot of people ask me, how did she become my goddaughter? Well, it was through church. We went to church together many years ago. Went to church together, and we went to a specific restaurant. I'm winking my eye at her because we ain't been in a long time. And we were eating. And the next thing I know, we were developing a relationship that went past, church members. She became my goddaughter,
Yes.
and Tish, I need you to check mama's fingers still hurting. I still hear my finger. But at the end of the day, it's because we kept that connection. I call you my sister because we kept up the connection. We didn't just stop when the class stopped.
Yeah.
We didn't just stop because, I followed you on one thing on social media and it stopped.
Right.
It didn't end there. It became a part of checking on each other. Some people don't check on each other enough to develop a relationship.
That's
I think
good.
about, my what I call my AP partners. One of them I haven't even met in person yet at all. We have not, no, both of them. Now I think about it, we have not met in person at all. But you would think that we have because of the way we communicate,
right?
The way we talk.
That's the key,
and that's the key to it. But I want to ask you this, because when people say divine relationships, they don't know what that look like. Now we touch it on a couple of things, but what can you give us a couple of keynote things that we need to look for when we're saying I want a divine connection, I want a real divine connection? Right. What are some characteristics that we should know about, that we should look at, that's gonna make us know, yeah, that's what this is?
Right. I think one of the things we got to always premise it on, particularly as believers, is Amos 3:3. How can two walk together except they agree? And so you're going to want to have, not that we agree on everything, but that we have an atmosphere of agreement. And one of the things that we talk about in the book, I believe it's in chapter 4, we talk about loyalty and commitment, and what fosters that. You got to be maturing in a relationship. You have to, one of the things that we talked about is boundaries. What are the boundaries going in? What does it look like? Are we only social media friends and we're not going to take this offline? Or have we been engaging for quite some time and now we do want to meet up somewhere so we can further engage in a relationship? But I think you have to look at the value of commitment and what that's going to look like. One of the things I remember years ago, and I guess that's what's always kind of fostered how now I handle relationships. I had some false expectations. When X, Y, and Z happened, you didn't call me. You didn't show up. You didn't send me a card. You didn't stay connected after this happened. And I became angry.
Oh, wow.
And I never thought about the anger came from false expectations and unmet levels of commitment. They didn't know because I never defined what friendship looked like for me. Because in my heart, I always felt like what I modeled should be what you use as a rubric for the type of friend you are to me. And that's not the case with people. If they've not, hey, Carrie, thanks for being here. If they have not defined and you're starting a relationship, for instance, let me, this is probably a better example. There are two ladies that I met on social media and kind of knew through other people, if that makes sense. They were friends of friends kind of thing. And I met them in two different conference times some years ago. And I said, I really feel a connection to them. And I want to nurture it without being spooky, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
Because some people, you just don't know what like you said earlier, what's the motive behind, where is this really going? Can I really trust them, kind of thing? And so I decided that people that I was going to begin nurturing and maintaining and building a relationship with, I would reach out, if not daily, every other day, with some type of inspirational something, whether it be a
Right.
meme, whether it just be a text, may it just be, hey, thinking about you. And I use that to gauge where it was going, if that
Right.
makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was a rubric for me to kind of see if this is over in you dating them, or if it's something that they now anticipate and look forward to, if that makes
Wow.
sense.
Wow. That's
Then
good.
I would say, okay, they're going to be in so and so. Let me go try and support them, what they're doing. I'm not on the panel. I don't know who these people are that is hosting them, but I'm wanting to build a relationship with them. Let me go to whatever event and offer support, or mention it, or share their flyer, or follow up and say, hey, sis, I saw that you did X, Y, and Z. How was that? Did you sell
Hmm.
any books while you were there? How did that go? What do you have coming up next? Sorry, I couldn't make that. Maybe somewhere else in the year, I can support you in another capacity. And
Right.
so when you're saying it's divine, I hate to say it this way, but you're going to have to find some way to interject your life into theirs.
Mm.
Somewhere there's got to be some kind of intersection. Even if you say to them, I really want to build on our relationship. I'm glad I met you at the coaching session, Victoria. I'd love for us to stay connected. And hey, are you on social media? Let's follow each other on social media. Let's stay connected that way and continue to build. So I think when it's divine, we have to find a way that our lives are going to remain intersected without it
Mm.
being spooky, without it being, the Lord told me you're going to be my best friend for life. You know, we don't we don't want to
Because people
scare
could do it.
people. We
Yeah.
don't want to scare people and be spooky and all this. We don't have to be spooky. We can just say, I want to be your friend. We can just show up
Right.
at something or see a flyer, comment, say, hey, I plan to come support you.
Right.
What day are you the speaker? Or we can just call and say, hey, I missed that. How was it? I see you got X, Y, and Z coming up. I've got some friends in the area. I'm going to tell them to come support you. If I can connect at that time, I'll come as well. So there are all kinds of ways we can build without being spooky, without being scary. And we
Right.
just have to know that any relationship we build is going to include risk. And I know
That's
early
right.
on in my relationships, the risk was too high. So I just didn't date anybody
Wow.
because I thought the risk was too high. I give all of me and it's going to be too risky because I may not get it back. And so I just
Right.
considered the risk too high, but I also didn't value connections. So really, when
Wow.
you don't put that risk factor into proper balance and perspective, you're really not ready to make those purposeful connections, because you're
Mm.
going to know that it includes risk. It's going
Mm.
to include sometimes your feelings being hurt because things didn't go the way you thought it would. It's going to include sometimes having a hard conversation. It's going to include sometimes there's a season in your life where you're not readily available. And maybe saying to some of those people that you've been nurturing, building, or maintaining a relationship with, I'm not available as I was in a previous season. For example, for 8 years or so, I was a caregiver. And if anybody's been a caregiver,
Mhm.
you don't have time to maintain, nurture, and build as if your time wasn't devoted to caring for someone. So when that space came upon me, I never imagined I would be a caregiver. And basically, To me, it looked like it happened overnight. So there was no announcement to people that I was close. Hey, I can't do that lunch thing no more. Dinner. I'm not going to probably go to a lot of events like I used to because now I'm caring for my parents. Now I'm taking care of my sister-in-law. I really can't do anything during the day like I used to maybe do in the day. Now that times, I didn't really explain that. So
Right.
people who thought they knew me thought, well, what's going on? She's not coming around. She's not being sociable like normal. And I had to later backtrack and say, I didn't know how to communicate because that was a whole new season and space in my life. But I had to dedicate a season to caring for people. And I didn't know what that was going to look like, how long that was going to be, how involved that was going to be. And so when it came to all my energy, that's all I had it for, was for caregiving and for them and their needs. And my needs went on the background. Now, is that good? No, of course it's not good. You got to maintain some relationships. You got to be in a healthy space. And so I learned that as I was going through the process, but I didn't know that in the beginning because no one goes into caregiving signing up. Sometimes people are unsolicited. Some people kind
Yeah.
of know, but in my case, it was unsolicited. I didn't know really until I started helping my parents out, really, that I should have been helping years before that in a greater way, but they kind of concealed and hid it from me. So I didn't really know until there was a particular incident. And I went to go live with them, what was supposed to be temporarily to help them out. To my eyes being fully awakened to, oh my God, I should have been staying overnight. I should have already been cutting back on some things. I had no idea until I went to stay in their space for what was supposed to be something temporary. That
Right.
ended up not 8 years in duration for them, but 8 years in totality of caregiving. And
Wow.
so just not knowing what that looked like, how to walk through it, how to talk through it. And so that was a season in my life that I didn't really manage my relationships well. So leaving out of that space, I realized nobody was really calling, checking in and stuff as much because for those years I wasn't really nurturing that part of my life because of what I was using my energy for. So
Right.
sometimes it just means having a conversation, finding a way, even if it's 2 or 3 of your closest people and saying, right now in this season, I'm taking care of a sick child. Right now in this season, I'm taking care of a parent. Right now in this season, I'm between jobs. I'm learning
Right.
a new skill set. And,
Right.
I don't have any after hour time, girl. I got to learn this job. So it's just all those different kind of things, that you're doing.
Right.
Oh, I've gotten custody of my niece or my nephew or whatever the case is that's been a life change. We just have to know that those relationships are going to go through seasons where they may take a hit. But if you believe it's divine, you're going to have to find a way to re-engage if you're the person that disconnected. So I
I
had to
would.
go back to some of those people. Go ahead.
I'm, I'm sorry, because and to all of you that are tuning in, and Lady Kaldejia, I got to tell you, I got a message that we didn't go live onto YouTube, so I'm going to share it to YouTube afterwards. So I do
Okay.
apologize because that's why everybody's coming and finding us now, which is great. Y'all had to find us, but this is the thing. I want you, because I have some great folks out here that are we're listening to you, and you're giving so many nuggets. I don't even have to ask questions. I love it, but this is one part that I want you kind of to help, because you brought into how we can disconnect ourselves,
Right.
and when people don't understand the why behind the disconnection,
Right.
then they tend to think it's something going on, when in
Right.
fact you are transitioning into something else.
That's
So
so
if there
true.
is a true divine connection,
Mhm.
then we should reach out and say, hey, what's going on? I haven't heard from you. But what do we do, like you said, as a caregiver? And sometimes caregiving it gets one sector, but it doesn't catch everything. I was a
Mm-hmm.
caregiver for my own self when I had COVID. Nobody could
Right.
get to me. My
Right.
kids, they knew people that I knew, but they really didn't know the broader picture of people that I
Right.
knew. Right.
Right.
And so
Right.
they couldn't pick, they didn't come
Right.
here and get my phone and say, let me tell you, my mom's sick. That's just why you haven't heard from her.
Right.
But I found out that there were people that didn't understand. They thought I just dropped off the face of the earth, because I tend to do that sometimes. I do tend to do that sometimes. I drop off. What? But what can you say to the individual who give us some help? Because I'm sure that there's some people out there that are watching that will watch later. Give us some help with, because from a caregiver standpoint, that's a big apple right there. When
Yeah.
you're the caregiver of someone else, and when you're the sole caregiver of yourself, and you don't
Right.
have the energy, tell us how we can, what kind of things that you've learned now, how can we explain our separation to somebody else? How can we explain it, and how can we prepare ourselves to take better care of ourselves during
Right.
that transition? Because sometimes we cut ourselves off and we
Right.
become depressed, we become tired, we become
Yeah.
a whole lot of host of words. So
Right.
tell us how we can explain it from your standpoint, now that you've seen it. How can
Yeah.
we, what can we do to explain it, and how can we save ourselves from, depleting our own self-care?
Right. One of the things I did not do when I first became a caregiver, I was not in therapy. And I can tell the difference from when I began therapy during the process of caregiving as to when I started out caregiving without therapy. It was day and night. I had no outlet to share my emotions. I was overwhelmed. I didn't think people would understand or be sympathetic. And I just had all these private conversations that no one ever heard. And one of the things that my therapist shared with me that was very helpful is saying, be honest. Those that you're
Mm,
close to, let them know what you need in this season. It's okay to have a need and express it. And when you're the strong friend, it's hard to do that. It's hard to say, Victoria, girl, I've been dealing with my mom and them. I'm just exhausted. I'm tired.
yeah.
Can you just say a prayer for me? Or, hey, can you call me Saturday just for just 10 minutes so I can just vent? I know you can't do nothing about it. You can't fix it. You can't whatever, but I just need to talk to somebody. And so she talked about how I had those false expectations, that here I
Wow.
thought they should have called, they should have checked, they should have known. And she said, while life was happening to you, it was happening to them.
That part.
And
That
so you not reaching out and them not reaching out, how did they know what you needed? Did you communicate to anyone
that's right.
what you needed? And I had to do some introspection and be honest. I didn't tell anybody anything. I did what the
That's
young
it.
people say, I went ghost. It was like I dropped off the planet. I didn't tell anybody
Yep.
anything. So when I re-engaged and having that space to talk to her about that, I had to go back and reach out to some people and say, hey, I hadn't talked to you in a
That's
while,
it.
but I've been taking care of my parents and my siblings and some extended family for some time. You know, I would love to reconnect and let's, do lunch. How things been going. Let's catch up. Is this a good time to catch up? So some of those
Mm-hmm.
things I had to re-engage. Others, it was really good when my mother passed. They came and said, oh, now, because what people didn't know, I was a parapro in the school system. And I left thinking I'm going to devote
Uh,
myself more into ministry, is what I was sensing, not knowing that I was really
yep.
going to be caring for my parents. But God knew.
Yep.
And so one of the things was, I said, oh, I'm going to come back and volunteer. If you need me to do X, Y, and Z, you need me to read, do story time, whatever. Y'all know I love the kids. I'll be glad. Well, I didn't do any of the stuff that I had said exiting out. So they just thought, okay, she left. We've been, co-workers 15 some years and she just gone. She just
Right.
ain't talking to nobody. And that wasn't what happened. So what happened when my mother passed, many of them came around and said, we had no idea. We knew why you said you thought you were leaving. We didn't know your mother was that ill. We didn't know. And I said,
Wow.
and guess what? She wasn't. But God knew
Wow.
in that span of time what was going to occur. I didn't know 6 months after me leaving my job, my mother passed.
Wow.
So I didn't leaving with the intention of fully caregiving, fully whatever, my mother not being here. In my wildest dreams, I never knew that my mother wasn't going to be here. I thought I was going to dedicate more devoted time to doing ministry things and what I felt like God wanted me to do,
Right.
alongside of looking out for them, meeting appointments, giving my dad some relief, let him stay home that day. I could take her, those kind of things. That's what I had in my mind. I had no idea. So for those who are here listening, either now or in the future time, if you're a caregiver, I highly recommend you get a therapist. I know we don't talk about enough in our community.
That's right.
What goes on at home stays at home. But listen,
That's it.
a lot of things that went home and stayed at home got people killed,
Come
had people
on.
emotionally distraught, had people
Tell it.
experiencing another generation of trauma. And so we have to do what is good for our best selves. So one, I would recommend that you get a therapist, one particularly that is going to help you walk through the grieving process, because caregiving is a grieving process.
Yes,
People
it
don't see it
is.
as grief, but it is, because the person that you saw them once, they're no longer that person. And you aren't either, because you're walking through this journey of caregiving for them. So you
That's
want
right.
someone who specializes in grief, someone who specializes in transitions, someone who is, specializes in relationships. Those type of people would be able to hone in and help you with those skill sets that you would need. Number two, your closest friends that you can tell them anything and they won't repeat. You need to let them know what you're doing. Hey, my mom's not well. I don't know how this is going to end, but I'm going to have to step away from doing some things we normally do. Our Wednesday night taco night, I'm not going to be able to do that because now I'm staying with mom on Wednesday nights. Right now, it looks like maybe we can meet another night, but we're going to have to play it by ear. If something happens and I can't go, I'm just going to have to let you know, can't do it. And I hope you'll understand this is the season that I'm in and that you can support me, the best way you can. And I won't be offended because I'm letting you know now that I can't do X, Y, and Z. And I hope you won't be offended and you will understand that this is the season that I'm in. So let those people closest to you know. Find someone that you can vent to, the one that just going to let you talk. Because sometimes you don't need to hear anything back. You just want to know I can get
You
what I'm
should
dealing
talk.
with out. I just need to get it
That's
out to
it.
someone. And so you may have 1, 2, maybe 3 people that you can do that with. So that's another thing. Then if you need to get a support group, get
That's
in a
it.
caregiving or grief support group. If it's one, particularly maybe your loved one is experiencing cancer or whatever the case is, and you don't know what's next in treatment, find a support group. Find
That's
a
it.
survivor group of someone who survived, because a lot of times we survive ourselves with people who didn't see healing on this side. And so then it produces anxiety and stress and worry and all of that. And that might not be the way that your loved one exits. They may
That's
not
right.
exit at all. They may have a miraculous healing. So, you want both sides of the coin. You want the person who can tell you what treatment looks like, how to help support your loved one, and what it looks like at the end of treatment. What does that person need? How can you be a support? They're no longer going to chemo, but what do they need next?
That's
Then you
right.
may need somebody who's been a 10-year survivor that said, listen, it was tough, but I made it. I know what your loved one is going through. Let them be a support to you because they're on the other side of the healing process. So I just want to throw that out and encourage you. You have to let people know what you need. And if they say, I can't handle this, then you have to respect that they can't handle it.
That's
And
it.
it's okay, because you're going to get those expert helps that you need. One of the things I wanted to say while we were talking about this is I think it lines up with chapter 9 that talks about the role of forgiveness. Sometimes in relationships, we have got to offer the gift of forgiveness. That they didn't
Wow.
show up, they didn't call, they weren't there. It goes back to those boundaries. It goes back to talking about your expectations, what you're wanting out of the relationship, what they're willing to give in that relationship, and giving and having the power to forgive. I remember not shortly after taking care of one of my loved ones that I reached out to a friend, and she was really going through something. And I just didn't have the heart to tell her. I didn't have the capacity for that because of what I was walking through. And so the calls just became fewer and fewer and fewer between, because I didn't have the capacity. And I remember calling her one day and saying, I need to tell you, when you were really going through, when it looked like I wasn't really showing up as much at the end of what you were facing, I just couldn't do it. I had so many
Yeah.
things going on within myself and taking care of my loved ones, and I just wasn't in a place to be able to do it. And I want to apologize if you felt like I dropped you, because that's how I felt. I felt like I just dropped her. And I
Right.
said, if you felt like I dropped you, I want to apologize, because that was not my heart intent. And wherever you want this relationship to go further, if you want to go back to us talking on a regular, whatever that's going to look like, I want you to know that I still value our relationship. And so
That's it.
that's another way you can re-engage. But you got to give yourself forgiveness for not knowing how to communicate what you need in purposeful connections. Because we think because they're divine that there won't be rocky roads, and there will.
That's right.
And and you have to be able to forgive them if they just don't have the wherewithal, the capacity to show up in what you're desiring. Be
That's right.
okay with letting them say, sis, girl, you coming on with a lot. Sis ain't able. You
That's
need to
it.
call Sister Doorknob, because I'm just not able in this season to walk with you through what you're walking through. And be honest,
That's right.
because that's placing a value on the relationship. You're not saying that you're dropping them. You're not appearing to drop them. You're not appearing to go ghost. You're just saying what you're walking through, I don't have the capacity to
Right.
walk through that with you and in the way that you're needing. Now, I can
Right.
support you with a call. I can support you with a prayer. But I'm not a safe space to vent because I don't have the capacity.
Right. So, Miss Carrie put a question out there, and
Yes.
it's and this is the thing. Uh, to some of you who may not know this, but Lady D and I both life coaches. But one thing that is unique even about that, Lady D, is we as life coaches, we recommend therapy.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
We gotta
absolutely.
believe in it because we can get you to a certain point,
But
but
we're
even
not a therapist.
but we're not a therapist, and so
We're not.
we encourage therapy. Sometimes people think that if you do that, that you're not whatever. I encourage people. Lady, I have a therapist of my own that I've had for 3 years now. Some things, it is what it is. But if it had not been for her along this journey with me for these last 3 years, in connection
Right.
with friends,
Right.
families, people like yourself, and other life coaches, I wouldn't have
Right.
made it. But I needed the therapist to go
Right.
to that level. I can get
I
you to
just
a
saw
point.
Carrie's question in there. Should you
Mhm.
seek therapy when you feel
Yes.
burnout as a caregiver? Yes, indeed. I don't know if you heard the first part
Yep.
of what I shared, Carrie, but the first probably the first 2 years, 2 or 3 years of caregiving, I did not have a therapist. And afterwards, I got a therapist, and I said, Lord have mercy. I should have had a therapist 30 years ago. And that's
Right.
honestly how I felt about it. Was exactly what I needed. And the space not only is, your therapist, whatever you reveal is confidential. So it's
That's
not going
right.
beyond that session or any other session, past, present, or future. Number
That's right.
two, you know they're going to hold it in highest confidence what you share. And their goal is for you to expand your vision on how you see yourself walking through what you're
That's
walking through.
it.
Because
That's
you
it.
have tunnel vision. Honey, when I was caregiving, I had tunnel vision. I kept thinking, not when, but how is this going to, because I had never done this. How long, what, I didn't know all the resources. I was just trying to make it day by day. Let me make
That's
sure they're
right.
fed. Let me make sure they don't miss any medicine. Let me make sure they get to the proper doctor. Let me follow up with the doctor if I feel like X, Y, and Z is not working. I was just in the trenches trying to make sure they had the best quality of life that they could have at my hands. But I needed to know that there was someone that I could pour out my frustrations, my fears, my anxieties, my worries, that was an expert at helping me
That's
to
it.
provide the resources
That's
I
it.
knew that they should get. And I would not
That's
have
right.
been able to do that, the latter part of caregiving, in the space I was in, had I not gotten a therapist. So
That's
I
right.
highly recommend, you will, but if you don't have a therapist and resources for yourself, you will burn out.
Yes,
By
you
the
will.
time I got a therapist, I was at my wit's end.
That's right.
And so the earlier, the better. And you can start with this. When I started looking for a therapist, I had never been in that space. I didn't know how to find one. So you can
Mm.
ask other people. You can say, hey, do you have a therapist? They say yes. Are they accepting patients? Do you know someone that is? If you have a specificity, like for me, I wanted a therapist that was also a believer, because I knew that prayer was going to be a paramount thing, and confessing the word to carry me through that season. So I didn't want a therapist that was going to tell me, don't worry about praying, you need to do X, Y, and Z. So I already knew that up front. I wanted a believer. I also knew, and that was just for me, I wanted an African American female, if at all possible. These were just things. So you have to know what it is, because I knew I would be comfortable if it was a woman. I knew it would be more comfortable if it was an African American woman, because I felt they might could identify with some of the stresses culturally that we experience as caregivers. So I knew that was going to be important to me. Number
Mm-hmm.
three, I needed someone, because I had a lot of unresolved issues. I knew I needed someone that's going to be able to help me walk through the grief process, because some of those issues were not resolved while I was caregiving. That's a whole nother story for a whole nother day. But a lot of times things flare up and come about when you're under duress that you've not
That's
addressed
right.
already. And they will manifest in different ways. So I would encourage you, Carrie, if you are a caregiver or know someone who is, to definitely get you a therapist. Find someone. If you're not safe going in the office, some people don't want the office experience. They're afraid to go lay on the couch, sit in a chair, and they don't want that. Find someone who can do a Zoom if you feel like that would be a better way for you to transition into therapy. Because in COVID, I had to do my sessions over Zoom
That's true.
because nobody was seeing anybody.
That's true.
So I'm saying there are therapists now that is an included part of their therapy because of the COVID experience. Some people offer it online as well as in person. So find what works for you. Know it's okay, and know that you're going to have the help that you need and the expertise that you need to navigate the space you find yourself in.
That's right. You know, and I'm putting up your books again. I mean, the book and the cover, because I want people to really be able to see it. And we're gonna also give y'all information how you can contact Lady D and get your copy. Get your copy. Get your Lady. You already know, Lady D. My theory is don't get one, get five. One for yourself. One for later. One for somebody that you love dearly and know they need it. one for somebody that you know ain't gonna ask for it, and then give it to somebody that you don't like.
You never know. You
Because you
never
never
know.
know what they're going through or what, and it may
Right.
not be that you don't like them, they might not like you. Give it to somebody that may need it. So I'm asking you nicely to spend a good $100+ with Lady D and get this book because it's amazing. I'm gonna get my book. I ain't fooling with y'all. I'm gonna get
I
my
want to
book.
share some of the chapters, Victoria, just in case
Help
if you're still on the
yourself.
fence.
Help
We've got a
yourself.
chapter on faith in action, how to make those action steps in those relationships, the strength of loyalty and commitment, one of my favorite chapters,
Ooh, that's a good.
overcoming adversity together, the blessing of having purposeful connections, cultivating that spiritual intimacy in your relationships, the role of forgiveness, which I hit on a little bit, embracing change and transition in God's plan, and the power of mentorship. So I'm telling you, it's just going to cover a variety of areas that you need. And what I love about it is an easy read, because I'm an easy reader. You got to grab me when I come in or I'm out. So
I know that's
it's an
right.
easy reader. It's like sitting down, like how you and I are having this conversation. I feel like this is personal, like you're right here in my house. It's that kind of read where you're going to feel like we're having a conversation about how you're going to deal with adversity if you come up with it in the relationship. It's going to talk about what loyalty and
Wow.
commitment is, how that's going to manifest in those purposeful divine relationships and connections. So it's going to feel like a girl to girl talk. It's going to feel like we're sitting, if your favorite place is Olive Garden or Outback or whatever it is, for a good lunch, it's going to feel like you're sitting with a friend just having a conversation. So I want to
Wow.
encourage you to get the book. I want to encourage you to share tonight's stream with as many people as you can, not because I wrote the book, but I believe that we're in a season where we got to say we can collaborate, that it's safe to trust people. And I
That's
can say that coming from a person who did not trust people. And so I have come a long way in learning how to nurture relationships. I'm intentional now with doing it. I'm adding value and meaning to those relationships. If we're not friends, it's because you don't want to be. It's
come
not
on.
because I haven't tried to do my part
That part.
and tried to make sure that it's a mutual reciprocal type of relationship. So I want to encourage you, if you are struggling with
That,
relationships, this book will help you. If you need to re-engage, maybe you did go ghost. Maybe you did just drop off the planet. It will help you to be confident to re-engage. Everybody's not upset that you went ghost. They're just wondering what happened. They're wondering if maybe it's them,
that's it.
you, us, whatever. And it's just a big question mark that's out there. You would be surprised how many people really want to re-engage, but they don't know how. This will help you to re-engage. This will help you to know it's divine, because divine is going to follow through in every season. The good, the bad, the ugly. When it's a divine appointment, they're going to be there in every season. Even if it's a difficult season, they may, like I said earlier, they may have to say, sis, in this season, I don't have the capacity.
That's
Not
it.
that we're not friends. I don't have the capacity for what you're walking through right now. And you can respect that because they're being honest with you and saying, you need to call our other sis. I feel she's better equipped to help you with that. So I hope that it's been a blessing to you. I know we kind of hit and miss around, but I believe it will be a good resource for you to have in your library as your go-to moving forward with building those healthy, divine, purposeful connections. So you know that when someone, I love what Victoria said, when someone shows up in your life and you recognize it's a divine appointment, that you don't let that moment pass you by. How many good
That's it.
relationships have we missed out on because they manifested? God, I just want some friends. I just want some people that blah, blah. You name it, all this, because God is a God that hears and answers. And that person manifests and you're not ready to engage and take
That's it.
advantage of doing the work.
Mm, mm. Lady D, I'm gonna put up your Cash App, guys, and I'm gonna put up her other information. Give me about 30 seconds. Lady D, tell now, do you see a second part of this book coming out for people? Because I do believe that, I
Definitely.
just think
And I see some workshops. I would love, if you're anywhere
yes.
that I could travel, I would love to do a fireside chat. I would love to do a lunch
Mm,
and learn. I would
mm.
love to do it. I would love to come to your area in person. Listen, it's time to travel. It's summertime. Our schedule is usually more relaxed. I would love to come to your area and host a chat, host a luncheon, host a seminar. Let's get together, reach out, let me know, let's negotiate, let's navigate what that
Ooh.
looks like so that we can have these healthy relationships we so deserve and that God wants. He doesn't want us to walk alone. He never did. If you look at his accounts, the disciples were always out in pairs. I tell people, he never sent nobody anywhere by themselves. I believe, and I always say this, and if you know me, you know I'm a jokester by nature. I believe he felt one of them was going to nut up and go crazy, and the other one would say, now you know that ain't what God told us to do. I believe he wanted that check and balance. And so we need each other. And I particularly want to say that to our women. We need each other. Stop saying you can't trust women. Women are messy. They're full of drama. It's not true. We've got to navigate these
That's true.
spaces. We got to be truthful. We got to recognize when they manifest in our lives. We got to work at it. We got to have the power of forgiveness in our heart before we start the relationship, because something could happen, will happen, might happen, all of the above. But we got to be willing to put in the work. So I would love to come to your area, reach out. I would love to come to your
Oh,
area and be there in person.
well, Lady D, I'm gonna tell you what I told my godson. Well, excuse me, one of my sons last night. One of my sons came back anyway, that's another story. Um, I can make it happen. And so y'all, how about us having a book signing with the phenomenal Lady D doing a workshop, and that be the workshop with her doing the book signing right here in Greensboro, North Carolina. I know everybody out there, if y'all could clap and scream, yes, let's do it.
I would
Okay,
love it.
so
I
Lady
would
D,
love it. Let's make it
uh,
happen, Victoria. Let's make it
we're
happen.
gonna we are going to go ahead and start playing. See, I knew Carrie was gonna. I knew Carrie was gonna. See, Carrie gonna help me get it together. See, this is the thing. I think it would be a wonderful thing. I wish we had actually planned it for this past. Well, I couldn't do it this past week because I was already doing the other one. But Lady D, I'm gonna be talking to you tomorrow. Tomorrow's
Okay.
my day off. That's my day of working. That's my day of figuring out things. Let's
Okay,
go ahead
reach
and make
out.
this happen. Let's
Reach
make
out.
it
Let's make it
happen.
happen.
Because there is so many people that need to not only hear briefly for what this hour, I don't even know how long we've been here. We ain't been here long enough. I know that. But people are getting the nuggets, but they need to have the in-depth, and they need to go ahead and put that book in their hand as you are talking.
Oh,
We're gonna
absolutely.
talk tomorrow. We're gonna talk tomorrow.
We'll talk
Look,
tomorrow.
anytime after 10 a.m. because I gotta sleep a little bit. But
Sounds
anytime tomorrow.
great.
So you could call me anytime. We're gonna get this together. Y'all stay tuned. I'm gonna do Lady D, I'm gonna do all the marketing for it. All you gotta do is tell me the date.
Well, I'm ready. And listen, Carrie saying yes. Bring your girlfriends. We want you to come and we want you to bring your girlfriends. Bring them
Yeah.
with you. Don't come alone and say, oh, I'm going to get the information. Bring your friends with you, because we're going to be talking about those purposeful connections. And guess what? You bringing them is going to add value to your relationship, because they're going to know how much you value their connection.
Mm.
It is
Now
going to
that's
send
good.
a strong message of how much you value and you're committed to maintaining your relationship with them. That's what it would say to me. If my friend invited me to something like this and it was called Purposeful Connections, the power of divine relationships, I'm thinking, oh wow, they love me like that.
Right.
That's what it would say to me. So I want to
Right.
encourage you to bring your friends.
Okay, y'all. Well, y'all better get ready. We don't. You better stay tuned because we're gonna be doing this really quickly. Because once we put
Yes,
our heads together and get a date, it's gonna be a wrap. We're gonna do it.
it's
I'm
gonna be great.
look.
I can't
I'm
wait to
probably
meet y'all. I can't wait to meet y'all.
y'all. It's gonna be exciting. Look. I got chills on my arm. I'm ready for this to make it do what it do, and to have her in the room. Oh, this is gonna okay. I'm gonna be look. I will be awake about 9:45 a.m. Lady D, so we can go ahead and plan. I'm probably gonna put out some numbers tonight and start doing some checking and saying, "Hey, we need a space. We need a look. Y'all just get ready. By next Sunday, you should be able to see what we get ready to do for bringing Lady D here to Greensboro, North Carolina, so she can do it for us. We're gonna have
Yes,
fun,
I'm
fun, fun.
excited.
And I don't know, Miss Carrie, we might put a little lynching together just because of the occasion. Because Miss Carrie has multiple business. She has all about music, but she also has all about food. So y'all better get ready. We about to do some things.
We ready. We ready.
We're ready. We're ready. So we're gonna make it do what it do. Lady, I mean, this has been such an amazing time to spend with you. And you know what? You have to tell Pop Robert, look, I call him Pop now. Look, you have to tell him that I missed it him, but to have you all to myself was so much more fun too. I
Well,
got to
I'm
have
gonna
you.
make sure I pass the message on. I'll make sure, and you know he's gonna chuckle and say, "I know y'all had an amazing time together."
Yes. And look, well, you can bring him with you when you come to the event. We'll let him
Oh,
come.
you already know.
That's gonna be amazing. We're gonna talk tomorrow, y'all. We're gonna get this together. Y'all gonna be amazed how quick we're gonna get this to happen because I got a place in mind right now. Just gotta call that individual first thing in the morning and see if they're available. Hmm.
It's gonna be great.
Hmm. See, I said it was the end of the Favorites Prayer Conference was yesterday with Dr. Gia, but I don't know, Lady D. You might be the ending of the Favorites Prayer Conference because you showing us some favor by coming on over here to Greensboro.
Oh
So
yes, I can't
yeah,
wait to get there.
yes. So we're gonna do that, Lady D. It has been such a pleasure. It always is. It's always fulfilling. I leave with that hunger for more, and that's what we're supposed to have a hunger for is for more.
Yes,
And so I have a hunger for more for you on tonight. I cannot wait just to put my arms around you, give you a big old hug, just
it's
to let
gonna
you know
be awesome.
it's going to be awesome. And
I thank you from the depths of my heart, always extending your platform, Elevated Not Tolerated, for us to be able to get the message out, to share the love of God, and to make an impact. And before we close, we never want to close any setting. You might have heard us talk about purposeful connection, but the greatest connection you can ever make in your entire life is to the Lord Jesus Christ. We don't want to leave this
yeah,
platform tonight. We're talking about getting
no,
together. But what has brought us together primarily, Victoria and myself, has been the Spirit of God. We both
yeah,
love God. We're kingdom women doing kingdom things and making an impact in the earth on this side of glory until Christ returns. If you do not know Jesus in the parting
yeah,
of your sin, if you've never made that first divine connection with the Father, we want to take this time to give you the
yes,
opportunity to make the best earthly and spiritual connection you could ever make, and that is with Him. So, with head bowed, eyes closed, all of
yes,
us across the globe praying, we want to lead you in this prayer. Father, come into my heart. I want to receive you as both my Lord and Savior. I realize I have not been connected to you in a real way. as either my Lord or my Savior. I thank you for dying on the cross, for your death, your burial, and your resurrection. I thank you for the opportunity. Because of that, I'm able to be divinely connected to the Father, because no one can come to the Father but by through you. I receive you now to my heart, and I'm ready to take this connection to deeper depths and higher heights as I continue my walk and my journey in being connected to you. In Jesus' name, amen. Well, we've just
Amen.
prayed the greatest prayer you can ever pray. It's not hard to be born again, to give your life to Jesus. He died for this connection. I want you
Yes.
to read Romans 10:9 and 10 to see the best quality decision you've ever made on this side of heaven. I want you to know now you need a good Bible believing church that will teach
That's
you the
right.
word of God. Pastor
That's
Victoria
right.
has launched her ministry. Why not
Jesus.
connect? She's the reason why you're here. She's your divine connection. She's the one that's pointing you to the ways of the Father. Why
Thank you,
not
Jesus.
connect with her and her ministry and
Thank
continue to grow by leaps and bounds in your spiritual growth and development? Reach out to her, let her know you
you,
want to be
Jesus.
connected beyond just this elevated and not tolerated. You want to be a viable member of her ministry.
Thank you, Jesus.
Unity. You believe God is calling you home to the place of unity. Reach out to her. You know how to do it. Any social media platform, if you're following us here on the platform, you know her personally, you know just to reach out personally and say, I believe that God is calling me to unity, and I want to receive you as my pastor because I've prayed that prayer. Well, I'm excited to meet you in person. I'm ready to hug your neck. I'm ready to say, one, welcome to the kingdom of God because you prayed this prayer with us. Two,
Yeah.
I'm ready to make that divine connection with you in person. And then number three, our amazing, illustrious coach and host and pastor, none other than Coach Victoria, who's going to put this together. I can't wait to be in her presence and to
Yeah.
connect with you all divinely through this purpose-filled book. I'm looking forward, and I hope you're looking forward too.
See, now you just had to end all that would make me want to make me cry. Now you just know, y'all. Because see, this is I'm gonna say this and I promise I'm gonna let us go. See, First Lady D is co-pastor with Pastor Robert. Y'all seen them on the show. So y'all know that they have a church, a full church ministry that's been operating for quite some time. But here she is pushing people of unity, faith, and praise. See, that's when you know there's something divine. Because I was getting ready to tell y'all, look, y'all better check her out and get on down at Sumter, North Carolina, if you need a church home and you need a strong couple that's going to push you to your next level. You better run on down to Sumter. But guess what? We come connected together. You can come here virtually, but you can always go there in the natural, in the physical, because that's how we work together. We collaborate together. Collaboration is key. See, Lady
It's
D,
key.
you just go, you just gonna make me cry. But that's
You
okay.
know I
I
love you
got
to
you.
life.
I got you. Yes, I love you to life, my sister. Look, guys, y'all got to get off of here because I got to let that Lady D go back and check on Pop Robert because I don't want him to think I took forever. And then see, I got to get ready to talk to her tomorrow to get this on the books, and we're gonna get this planned out, guys. Get ready because we're
Yes.
gonna come
Get ready.
and we're gonna bring you some purpose divine connection. Y'all get ready.
Yes.
We'll see you next time right here on
See you
Uncensored.
next
Look, we're
time,
not coming
guys.
next Sunday. It's Mother's Day. I want y'all to enjoy Mother's Day with your families. We were going to come back that next Sunday and we're going to give you some new information, some new things that's getting ready to happen. And but we're still going to be able to come up here and show y'all what we got planned for this event. So just stay tuned. All right, Lady D, I love you so much. Give my love to
Love
Papa
you.
Robert. We will talk to you tomorrow at 10 o'clock now.
Tomorrow. See y'all soon.
Tomorrow. All right. Good night, guys. And until then, stay empowered, embraced, and educated to be elevated. and not tolerated. We'll see you real soon.
See you soon.